The day Amara fired her former boss, the scent of disinfectant still clung to her hands. Outside the glass tower in Lekki Phase 1, Lagos moved like it was in a hurry to outrun its own problems. Danfos screamed on Admiralty Way, hawkers chased traffic with Gala and La Casra, and the lagoon wind carried generator smoke and frying suya in the same breath. But inside the top-floor boardroom of Nimbus Pay, the air was cold, dry, and quiet enough to hear a heartbreak or rise. 5 years earlier, Amara was just the cleaner girl. Back then, she arrived before dawn every weekday, in a faded pink hoodie and cheap black flats already beginning to open at the sides. Around 5 a.m., when Lekki still yawned and stretched, she pushed her mop bucket through the sleeping reception area, lights humming low, ACs dripping somewhere above the white ceilings. She knew the building sounds like some people knew Bible verses, the whir of servers in the IT room, the nervous beeps of unattended laptops, the soft ding of early Slack's messages as big people began their day on screens she could only wipe, not touch. Her motivation was simple and heavy: escape. Escape the one room in Ajagunal where she shared a mattress with her younger siblings whenever she visited home. Escape the pity-tilted heads that greeted her widowed mother at evening market. Escape the invisible straitjacket that poverty strapped on people, making them move only in circles. She didn't dream of being rich for show-off. She dreamed of being rich so her mother could stop bending over Gary Sachs at Oyingbo Market. So her siblings would never calculate transport money before they dared to dream. Every morning, she cleaned the glass doors of Nimbus Pay and looked at her reflection. "Now you go own this kind building one day," she whispered to the girl in the glass. "No worry. Just stay learn." She said it half in faith, half in stubbornness. Nimbus Pay was a shiny fintech startup that believed it was too important for normal problems. They built fancy features for people that already had money, yet their cleaners waited 2 months for salary. Still, Amara loved the place in a painful way. She loved the smell of coffee from the tiny pantry, the neat rows of laptops, the way ideas floated in the corridors like perfume. She often pretended she was one of them. The product managers, the developers, the growth leads who talked like Lagos roads didn't also flood under their big English. Her biggest classroom was meeting room 3. Whenever the management had a strategy session, she was there, invisible, mopping, wiping, arranging water bottles. They talked because they didn't see her. They planned because they believed she had no use for their words. But words are free. And Lagos has taught the poor how to collect what is free. Amara swept every sentence into her mind. She learned what user retention meant, how transaction failure rate could make people curse apps on Twitter, how onboarding friction meant users were bouncing because the thing was too stressful. She also learned their weakness. "These guys no sabi poor man problem," she thought quietly one Thursday afternoon as she wiped the whiteboard, reading the remains of a brainstorm. Too many features, but no simple way for normal people to just send small money, buy small airtime, breathe. That same day, her life shifted. The CEO, Mr. Tayo, had called a town hall meeting. He was tall, well-bearded, with that Lekki tech bro confidence that made his sneakers look like they'd never touched a pothole. Everyone gathered, from product designers to the other cleaners. Even the security men hovered near the door. "We want ideas," Tayo announced. "Nimbus Pay needs a breakout feature. Something that makes us indispensable to everyday Nigerians. Think social. Think micro. Think sticky. There's a reward for the best idea, 200,000 naira. 200,000. The number hit Amara's chest like Danfo breaks. On her current salary, that was almost a year of saving without touching anything. It could pay part of her siblings' school fees, help her mother clear debt. She felt her heart sink with the hum of the AC. After the meeting, workers drifted back to their seats, buzzing with possibilities. Amara finished arranging the chairs slowly, her mind racing faster than Lagos traffic before first rain. That night in her one small room at Ajagunal, she couldn't sleep. The ceiling fan squeaked in rhythm with distant generator hums, and somewhere outside, someone shouted at Nipa for taking light again. She spread out an old exercise book her youngest brother had abandoned, the pages mostly empty. Using a borrowed biro, she began to write. Not poetry. Not diary. Ideas. She wrote from her life. From Oyingbo to Ajagunal to Lekki. What if there was an app that allowed market women to easily put money aside after each sale, like small digital colo? What if Okada riders could quickly send money home with one button, even with bad network? What if everything was simplified, One clean screen, big buttons, local languages. She sketched screens roughly, a big button with Save 100 today, another with Send N500 TO Mama, a smiley face instead of error codes. She wrote the name of her dream app at the top of the page. ColoPay. They can laugh, she told herself, but poor people get money too. We just need apps that respect small amounts. She went to bed near dawn, heart fluttering but strangely calm. The next day, she hesitated. Who would she show? She was just the cleaner. People like her are told to be grateful for uniform and small salary. Lagos loves hierarchy. Office doors are not only wood, they are made from invisible class lines. Still, she brought the book to work and tucked it in her bag. During lunch, she lingered near the pantry where junior staff tended to gather. They argued about match scores, coded in low voices, complained about salary that no-day match hustle. Amara's eyes rested on Kunnel, a UI/UX intern who always greeted her kindly and once explained what user flow meant when she asked. He looked like someone whose kindness hadn't been exhausted by Lagos yet. When he stepped out to the balcony, she followed, heart pounding, palms sweating. Kunnel, good afternoon, she said softly. He smiled. Auntie Amara, well done. Oh. This mop na your co-founder. They laughed lightly. Then she grew serious and opened her bag. I get something I write yesterday about that feature way Oga talk, she said. I know sabi big English, but na from wetin I day see. You fit look am? Tell me if he makes sense. She handed him the exercise book. He flipped through, at first casually, then more slowly. His joking expression faded into something else, surprise mingled with respect. You wrote all this? He asked. Amara nodded, suddenly shy. You think say, day stupid? He shook his head. Stupid ku? This thing serious na real product thinking. You sabi say this ColoPay fit scatter market if dem build 'em well? Poor people way get Android go rush am. Her heart leapt. A beg, she said, if he makes sense, how I fit submit am. Dem talk say anybody fit bring idea. He hesitated. You fit email product lead, he said, but you no get company email. Maybe make I help you type 'em well, arrange 'em small, submit under your name. She looked at him like he just offered her a ladder out of a well. God go bless you, Kunnel, she said, chest tight with gratitude. I go owe you. She went back to mopping, lungs filled with new air. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then on the 4th day, a whisper flowed around the office like smoke. New feature day come o. Dem say Nimbus don crack something for low-income market. Guy, Teo one announce for all hands. Amara's stomach twisted. At the all-hands meeting, the lights dimmed slightly, screens came alive, and the Nimbus logo glowed big on the projector. The whole team watched as Teo walked to the front, confident, excited. We've been working on something special, he began. A feature designed for everyday Nigerians. For the market woman, the Okada man, the small business owner, introducing. The slide changed. A bright logo appeared, Colo Pocket, with a piggy bank icon. Amara felt the floor tilt under her. The next slides went through features. Set aside N100 daily. Quick send N500 to saved contacts. Friendly emojis. Local language options. Screens almost identical to the ones she'd drawn in that old exercise book. Her exercise book. Her breath deserted her for a moment. Her eye found Kunnel at the side of the room, face tight, eyes not meeting hers. And the idea came from our agile product team, Teo continued, nodding proudly in the direction of the PMs and designers. Innovators, every one of them. Let's clap for them. The room exploded in applause. No one clapped for the cleaner. No one knew. Amara stood at the back with other non-essentials, hands hanging numbly by her sides, the sound of clapping hitting her skin like small blows. Inside her, something cracked, not hope, but innocence. Later, in the quiet of the ladies' restroom, she opened her bag with shaking hands. The exercise book was still there, but pages had been ripped out. The pages with ColoPay. Kunnel had said he would help her type it and arrange it. He had never given the book back. Now the essential pages were gone. Her chest burned. Betrayal never feels big at first. It starts as a small burning behind your ribs. In Lagos, Theft isn't always done with hands. Sometimes it's done with smile, English, and PowerPoint. That night, sleep refused to visit her. She lay on her thin mattress, listening to the midnight radio from a neighbor's room, preachers shouting about destiny and enemies from village. Maybe na village people, her mind mocked. Or maybe na this city. Around 3 a.m., when human noise had died down and only generators hummed like restless spirits, she had a strange experience. She was halfway between sleep and waking when she felt a presence at the corner of her room. She opened her eyes. The room was lit only by a distant streetlight slipping through torn curtain, but she saw it, a faint outline of an old woman sitting on her plastic chair, wrapper tied tightly, headscarf knotted. The woman's eyes glowed softly, not scary, but knowing. Amara couldn't move. Fear sat on her chest, heavy and cold. You think say dem steal your destiny because of one idea? The woman's voice echoed, sounding like the sea under Third Mainland Bridge. No be everything dem fit steal. She blinked. Her heart hammered. Who you be? She whispered, but her voice didn't seem to fill the room. The woman continued, voice steady. Dem fit steal paper. Dem fit thief credit. Dem fit even borrow your dream put their own name. But if na you get the well, water go still come back to your bucket. No cry for small stream when ocean day look you. A gust of wind rattled the window. When Amara blinked again, the chair was empty. Her skin prickled. She sat up slowly, heart still thudding. Was it a dream? Sleep paralysis? Or something Lagos had taught poor people to accept, that the spiritual and physical sometimes shook hands over their heads? Whatever it was, one thing lodged firmly in her chest. If na you get the well, water go still come back to your bucket. The next week, everything got worse. Management announced budget cuts. They had hired a new cleaning company, they said. Outsourcing. Efficiency. All the big words that meant small people would bleed. Your services will no longer be required from next month, HR told her, eyes carefully blank. We will pay your outstanding salary and 1 month's extra. No apology. No mention of the idea they'd stolen. Just a polite pushback into the hot, noisy street. In one brutal sweep, Amara lost 2 things, her job and her illusion that hard work alone was enough in Lagos. But something else grew quietly in the dark space left behind. A stubborn, dangerous resolve. If they could build her idea without her, what was stopping her from building greater? After all, the old woman, dream, spirit, or tired mind, had said it. The well still belonged to her. And in Lagos, once a person decides to dig, the city itself begins to watch. The first month after Nimbus pay, Lagos tested Amara like it was offended by her existence. Without the steady salary, life became raw. She took temporary cleaning gigs in Surulere, then Victoria Island, then Yaba. Every morning she joined thousands at bus stops, pushing for space in packed danfos. Enter with your change Ashadi straight. Lekki, Lekki, Lekki. Conductors hung from doors, spitting insults and jokes into the warm air. Street preachers squeezed between tired passengers, promising miracles in exchange for attention and small offerings. It was during one such danfo ride from Yaba that the city gave Amara her next piece of direction. The bus was stuck in evening traffic, horns screaming like frustrated birds. Hawkers knocked on windows, offering plantain chips, cold sachet water, phone chargers of questionable origin. The September sky was heavy with rain clouds, the light turning everything gray-blue. Amara sat by the window, hugging her bag tightly to her chest. Inside it were all her papers, CV, recommendation letters, printed job applications. She listened half-heartedly as 2 men in front argued about fintech. That your Nimbus app useless die, one complained. CN, I try send my mama N500 last week, na error for 3 days. Dem no day respect small money. Na only when you on send 50k up dem go behave. The other man laughed. Guy no vex. Na only God and POS girl sure for this Lagos. Another voice joined from behind, a market woman, her tray of oranges balanced neatly on her lap. If dem fit just do one app way go day follow poor man step by step, she sighed. Make e-day save my 100 to 100, help me arrange market money, I go use am. Na this their grammar day tire person. Amara's heart beat faster. It was like the city was reading from her old exercise book. Traffic inched forward, then stopped again like NEPA light. She stared out at the lines of people walking along the gutters, at the billboard advertising yet another shiny app that promised to revolutionize your finances. How many revolutions poor people want survive, she thought bitterly. That night in her room, she opened a new notebook. On the first page, she wrote a single sentence in capital letters. If apps no fit respect small money, I go build one way go. She didn't know how. She had no laptop, no coding skill. Her savings had already shrunk, eaten by rent and food and transport. But she had something dangerous: clarity. The next weeks became a slow, stubborn hunt for knowledge. Between cleaning jobs, she lingered around Yaba's tech ecosystem like a ghost. That part of Lagos had its own heartbeat: co-working spaces humming with AC and ambition, loud motorbikes, students with backpacks full of dreams and cheap laptops. Amara found an open tech hangout event advertised on a weather-beaten flyer outside a cafe. The flyer promised free entry, free Wi-Fi, free soft drinks. Free was her language. She cleaned a small office that morning, collected her pay in cash, and walked to the hangout, wearing her neatest shirt and the same worn black flats. Inside, the air smelled of coffee and code. Young people clustered around tables, talking about funding rounds and product market fit in accents that slid between British and Nigerian like slippers on wet tile. She sat at a corner, invisible, sipping slowly from a plastic cup of warm Sprite. She listened. A guy in glasses argued about financial inclusion, using many big words that boiled down to one thing: apps for the poor, designed by people who had never been poor. When the moderator asked if anyone from the audience had thoughts, Amara's heart did a backflip. Her palms went wet. Fear and courage wrestled inside her. Before she could overthink, she raised her hand. The room turned slowly, eyes landing on her. She felt the weight of their curiosity. She didn't look like them. No MacBook. No startup merch hoodie. Just a simple blouse and eyes that had seen more Danfo interiors than dashboards. Yes, you, the moderator said kindly. What's your name? She swallowed. My name Naramara, she said. I be cleaner. A small ripple of surprise moved through the room. But I don clean for fintech companies, she added. I day clean their boardrooms when dem day plan product. Them day talk inclusion, but dem no day ask people way need 'em wetin dem really want. The room quietened. She continued, voice gaining strength. Poor person no need 50 features. We just need app way no go disgrace us when we want send N500. We need one way go understand that sometimes not N100 we fit save today. We no be problem to solve, we be market way una no day see clear. If una no build something for us, one day person way sabi wet and hunger be go build am. Silence. Then someone at the back clapped slowly. Another joined. Soon, the room hummed with applause that felt different from Nimbus clapping. This one reached her. Afterward, as people milled around, a man approached her. He was in his mid-30s, dark-skinned, beard rougher than tech bro standard. His t-shirt had no logo, his jeans were simple. There were tired lines around his eyes, the kind you get from both staring at screens and staring at ceilings at night. My name is Femi, he said. I'm a developer. Not big name, just small freelance work. She nodded cautiously. That thing you talk, he said, na the truest thing I done here for these events since January. Na exactly wetin I day think. He told her he'd been wanting to build something for low-income users, but didn't know how to design it from real people's perspective. Most of my life, I no day even use the apps I build, he admitted. Because dem no be for my type. But you get blueprint for person way these apps suppose serve. Amara's mind raced. Blueprint. That word made her feel like more than a cleaner. They sat at a corner table. No long talk, no romance, just shared hunger for something that made sense. She showed him rough sketches from her notebook, colo pay screens, her scribbled notes about market women, Danfo conductors, POS girls. Femi stared, then smiled, tired but sincere. This no be idea, he said. Na lived experience. Na gold. They made a simple agreement right there. He would bring code, she would bring truth. No lawyers. No term sheets. Just a handshake and a shared fear of being wasted by the city. Of course, Lagos does not give success on promo. The next year was war. They met in free co-working spaces until staff began to frown at their extended stays. They used borrowed laptops, free Figma accounts, YouTube tutorials for UI ideas. Sometimes, when power failed in Yaba, they relocated to fast food joints with charging ports, buying one small drink to justify hours of Wi-Fi. Money was the constant problem. Femi picked up small jobs customizing websites for small businesses. Amara continued cleaning offices, but cut her spending to the bone. She walked when she could instead of taking Kiki. She ate beans and Gary, saving every extra naira. Yet, every time they hit a wall, Lagos found new ways to test them. One evening, after a 12-hour shift cleaning an insurance office on Amadou Bello, she came home to discover her younger cousin, whom she'd been supporting, had disappeared, along with nearly all the cash she had hidden in a biscuit tin under her bed. He left only a scribbled note, "Sorry sis. I need to travel. I go pay you back." Travel where? To who? Lagos or Libya? She slumped on the mattress, numb. The money was meant to buy a second-hand laptop, so she didn't have to depend on borrowed ones. Betrayal again. This time from blood. She cried until her throat went dry. The room seemed to shrink around her. At midnight, the old woman appeared again. Same wrapper, same glowing eyes, same plastic chair that shouldn't be able to carry her and yet did. "So you think say because person run with biscuit tin, 9b end of story?" The voice came, calm and echoing. Pekin way steel seed go still hungry when harvest time reach. Amara wiped her eyes, half angry, half relieved. "But I no fit continue like this," she whispered. "This city day bite me from all side. Idea no day pay house rent." The woman's smile was slow, deep, almost pitying. "You day confuse test with rejection," she said. "Lagos no day pity slow person, but e day respect stubborn person. Your own no be whether app go build. Now whether your heart go stay one place long enough make God fit bless am." Before Amara could respond, a sudden loud knock banged on her door, a neighbor locking up. She startled, fully awake. The chair was empty. Again. She sat there, breathing hard, feeling something in her spirit rearrange itself. "Okay," she exhaled. "We move." The next morning, she sold her only gold chain, a thin piece her mother had given her years back for marriage. With the money, she bought a fairly used laptop from Computer Village. The seller swore on his grandfather's grave that it was original UK used. The keyboard letters were faded, the screen bore faint scratches, but it turned on. That was enough. She carried it home like a newborn. Bit by bit, Colopay, now renamed Naira Nest, after they discovered someone had already launched an app with similar name, began to live. The app was simple. Big buttons, save N100, send N500, lock this money till month end. Local language settings. Friendly tone. No guilt trips. No flashy nonsense. Just humility coded into screens. They tested it with real people. Amara took early versions to market women in Oyingbo. Some laughed, some frowned, some showed their grandchildren to help them. She listened to every complaint, every confusion. "This button small too much. Why the thing no shout when I save? Put something way go encourage me when I day slack." She returned to Femi with notes, not just from her head, but from dozens of mouths. They iterated. Version after version, bug after bug. Sometimes Femi almost gave up when servers crashed or code misbehaved. Sometimes Amara nearly quit when transport ate her last naira. But they kept going. Because humble dreams are like Lagos rain, hot ground may reject at first, but if it keeps falling, even concrete begins to soak. 2 years after she'd been fired from Nimbus Pay, they launched Naira Nest quietly. No billboard. No big influencer. Just a WhatsApp broadcast and posts on Facebook groups where market women and small traders gathered. First week, 43 users. 50, if you counted the neighbors she had forced to download it. Second week, 120 users. Then something strange began to happen. Stories started trickling in. An Okada rider in Shamalu saved N100 daily for 3 months and bought a new helmet. A hairdresser in Mushin used the Lock Life feature to keep her money away from cousins that loved borrowing. A POS girl in Ikorodu tweeted a screenshot when she hit N50, 000 saved from small change. "See as this humble app just day motivate me," she wrote. No noise, just result. Her tweet went modestly viral within a certain corner of money Twitter. Downloads doubled, then tripled. People liked that the app didn't mock their small money. One evening, as rain slapped the Lagos skyline and thunder rolled like angry drums, Femi refreshed the dashboard for the 100th time. He stared. Rubbed his eyes. Stared again. Amara, he called, voice trembling slightly. We hit 10,000 active users. She froze. The number glowed on the screen like a prophecy fulfilled. 10,000. Not much in the world of big apps, maybe. But in their own world, two broke dreamers with a second-hand laptop and bad chairs, it was a cathedral. She looked out the window at the wet street, at the flashes of Danfo headlights reflected in puddles. Somewhere, a generator coughed to life. The city continued as if nothing had changed. But something had. With 10,000 users came new problems, server costs, customer support, regulation fears. And with success came attention. Within months, a small article appeared on a tech blog, the little savings app winning with low-income Nigerians. Then another, how Naira Nest is making N100 feel like a million. Words traveled faster than they could. Along with good attention came dangerous attention. One afternoon, as Amara cleaned the small co-working desk they rented, out of habit more than necessity now, Femi walked in with a look that made her instinctively brace. What happened? She asked. He slid a printed email across the table. It was from Nimbus Pay. They wanted a partnership conversation. Apparently, their fancy Colo Pocket feature had flopped with the very market it was supposed to serve. Users found it complicated, cold, unfriendly. Their metrics were sliding. Investors were asking questions about churn and product market fit. And somewhere in a crowded boardroom in Lekki, someone had mentioned Naira Nest. The email ended with a polite line. We believe there are synergies we can explore together. As Amara finished reading, the air in the tiny room thickened. Femi watched her carefully. This is big, he said slowly. But I go move however you want. If you say make we ignore, we ignore. If you say make we go, we go. Her mind traveled like Danfo from present to past. Glass boardrooms, stolen idea, ripped exercise book. HR's cold words. The old woman on the plastic chair. Lagos had come full circle. But circles can turn into spirals. Her phone buzzed. Another email had landed, this time from a small investor network looking to back in high-impact fintech for underserved markets. The subject line read, Funding Interest, Naira Nest. The city wasn't just watching anymore. It was knocking. And as thunder rolled above Yaba's rusted roofs, Amara realized something. This wasn't just about a nap. It was about whether a girl with a mop could stand tall in the same room where she once bent to pick dirt. 3 months later, Lagos dressed itself in harmattan. Dust hung in the air like gossip. The sky was pale, refusing to fully brighten. People wrapped extra scarves around their necks and complaints around their conversations. On the 15th floor of a glass building in Lekki, not Nimbus Bay's tower, but a bigger one, a new logo shone at the reception, Naira Nest Fintech Limited. The letters still smelt of fresh paint and new beginnings. Amara stepped out of the elevator, heels clicking on the polished floor. Her navy blue suit fit neatly, the result of careful savings and one indulgent shopping trip to Balagan Market. Her natural hair was packed in a simple puff, her ears adorned with tiny gold studs. Her hands still remembered the feel of mop handles. Today, they held a slim tablet and an access card with CEO/co-founder printed under her name. The irony did not escape her. Inside the new Naira Nest office, young staff moved with focused energy. Customer support reps responded to chats in Pidgin and English. Developers argued about APIs. A strategist stuck sticky notes on a glass wall, drawing arrows and circles. Poverty had taught Amara to study faces. She chose her team carefully, smart, hungry, not arrogant. People who could respect both N100 and N1000000. A calendar alert vibrated on her smartwatch. Meeting, strategic partnership proposal, Nimbus Pay, 11 a.m. She exhaled slowly. This was it. The deal had been shaped for weeks already by lawyers and advisors, a potential partial acquisition of Nimbus Pay's failing micro-savings feature into Naira Nest's ecosystem, maybe even a merger talk later. Investors loved the narrative, Old guard fintech partnering with grassroots challenger. But for Amara, it was personal. She walked into the boardroom. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed Lagos like a restless painting, the lagoon glittering, yellow buses crawling, cranes growing new towers further down the island. On the table, water bottles and notepads waited in quiet expectation. Her team sat on one side, Femi, now CTO, 2 lawyers, a strategic advisor. On the other side sat Nimbuspay's delegation, including Tayo. He looked older. The overconfidence in his posture had dimmed, replaced by a tightness around his eyes. The last 2 years had not been kind to his startup: regulations, failed features, staff exits, investor unrest. As Amara entered, their eyes met. For a second, the glass walls disappeared and she was back in meeting room 3, carrying a mop, arranging chairs he would soon sit on. She remembered the applause for the team that stole her idea. The HR email. The look on Connell's face. But she also remembered stubborn nights, old woman visions, Danfo conversations, the first N100 saved on Naira Nest. She smiled politely and took her seat at the head of the table. "Good morning, everyone," she began. "Thank you for coming." Her voice didn't shake. They talked numbers first. Acquisition costs. Revenue sharing. API integration. Migration plans for Nimbus users. She let her lawyers and advisors lead, but when it came to product decisions, she stepped in. She knew her people, the market women, Okada men, POS girls. She fought for them in every clause. "We won't complicate the interface to please investors," she said calmly at one point. "We built this by respecting small money. Any feature that disrespects that is a no." Her firmness surprised even her. Midway through, during a short break, she found herself alone at the glass wall, watching traffic inch across Lekki Ikwe Bridge. Tiny red brake lights blinked like distant prayers. Amara. She turned. Tayo stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, expression cautious. Up close, the changes were clearer, strands of gray in his beard, a slouch in his shoulders that success stories on LinkedIn never mention. I've been wanting to meet you for a while," he said. "Not just for the deal." She said nothing, letting silence do its work. He cleared his throat. "You used to work with us, right?" he said. "Nimbuspay. Cleaner." The word hung in the air, but it didn't sting anymore. It felt like a stage of life, not a cage. "Yes," she replied simply. "I did." He looked away for a moment, swallowed. "I owe you an apology," he said quietly. "Back then, there was an idea. Colo Pocket. Someone submitted sketches. They took the credit, the team ran with it. I didn't ask enough questions. I didn't even know, until recently. I saw old internal emails. I saw your name." A dull echo of old pain resurfaced, but it met something stronger now: distance. "Which someone?" she asked, though she already suspected. He sighed. "Connell," he said. "The intern. He's not with us anymore. But that doesn't excuse it. It was my company. I was supposed to make sure these things didn't happen." For a moment, they both watched the city. Down below, a hawker darted between cars, chasing a sale. Up here, 2 people weighed what to do with a bruised past. "I'm sorry, Amara," Tayo said again. "We took what was yours. We treated you as if you were invisible. You turned that into something bigger. You didn't have to sit at this table with us, but you did. I don't take that for granted." His voice was sincere. Lagos had humbled him. In their old story, this might have been the point where she sought revenge, where she watched Nimbuspay burn and walked away satisfied. But real Lagos doesn't always give such perfect endings. Besides, she remembered the old woman's words: "Pekin way steel seed go still hungry when harvest time reach." Nimbuspay was hungry now. Harvest had come to Naira Nest. She took a slow breath. "Let me tell you something, sir," she said. "You people did hurt me. At that time, I thought my whole future dawned finish because one small idea no carry my name. But looking back now, if you hadn't stolen that idea, maybe I would have stayed in Nimbuspay forever, cleaning and hoping for promotion that would never come." She looked him in the eye. "You pushed me out. It felt like wickedness then. But it forced me to build my own table. Today, we're not begging for seat in your boardroom. You are the ones asking to sit in mine. He flinched slightly, but nodded. I understand, he murmured. She continued. I'm not doing this partnership because I pity Nimbus, she said. I'm doing it because our users will benefit. Your infrastructure, our product truth. If we do this right, people at the bottom will finally feel seen. That's bigger than both our egos. She paused. But make one thing clear, this time, I'm the one making the final call. For a moment, the only sound was the distant hum of AC. Then Tayo did something she didn't expect. He bowed his head slightly. Understood, he said. They went back to the table. By the end of the day, the initial deal was signed. Nimbus Pay would sunset their failing Colo Pocket and integrate into Nigerian's ecosystem, taking an agreed stake. Staff retraining would focus on humility and real user understanding. Nigerian would expand its reach with better tech infrastructure. It wasn't a Hollywood victory. But it was a Lagos one, messy, negotiated, layered. Weeks later, as news broke on tech Twitter and blogs speculated about the cleaner-turned-CEO who saved a sinking ship, Amara took a quiet day to visit Ajigunle. The streets were the same yet different. New paint on old walls, new posters of musicians on rusted gates, new slang in the air. Children played football in brown sand, shouting names of foreign clubs. She walked to her old compound. Some neighbors recognized her from a distance, whispering, "Na that Amara way dem say get app. You see am." In the small room that had once held her crying body and secondhand fan, a new tenant now lived, a young nurse just starting her Lagos journey. Amara greeted her kindly, bought pure water from the corner shop, then walked on. At Oyingbo Market, she found Mama Titi, one of the first women who had tested Nigerian and cursed when it glitched. On my app, madam," the woman exclaimed, cheeks round with surprise. "Na you be Nigerian? See as God day do things." They talked for a while. The woman showed her savings balance on the app with pride. "Before, I never know say my small money day get weight," she said. "But see now. I day see 'em grow." Amara smiled, something deep and quiet filling her chest. Later that evening, tired but peaceful, she boarded a Danfo back to the island. The conductor shouted destination, ignoring dust and traffic like all his forebears had done. Halfway across Third Mainland Bridge, as city lights twinkled on both sides, the sun sinking in orange fire, Amara dozed off briefly. When she opened her eyes, she saw her. The old woman, sitting in the front seat, wrapped in the same faded ankara, headscarf tied in that same stubborn knot. Passengers didn't seem to notice her. Their eyes met through the reflection on the Danfo window. "You see 'em now?" The woman's voice floated in her mind more than her ears. "Dem fit push you out of building, but dem no fit push you out of destiny." Tears stung Amara's eyes, but they did not fall. She nodded faintly. "Thank you," she whispered. The woman's eyes softened. "No thank me," she said. "Na your stubbornness carry you. I just remind you say well way God dig for person, no man fit cover am with sand." A truck blared its horn, jerking the Danfo back to full chaos. When Amara blinked, the front seat was occupied by a young man scrolling his phone, oblivious. Maybe it was all in her head. Maybe it was Lagos reminding her that the spiritual and physical still shared the same bus sometimes. When she reached home, she stood at her balcony, watching the city glitter, generators humming like low prayers. Her phone buzzed with notifications, users saving, investors emailing, journalists requesting interviews. Somewhere in Lekki, Tayo was resettling into his new role, head of corporate partnerships, Nigerian. The former boss, now part of the team of the girl whose presence he once didn't notice. Life had turned. But Amara knew she had to remain grounded. She remembered sweeping Nimbus Bay's floors with headphones deep in her ears, listening to online business classes while wiping other people's success. Humility had been her first teacher. She picked up her old mop from where she'd kept it in a corner for memory. She turned it in her hands, smiling. "Now you start this journey," she said softly. "No be shame to remember." Behind her, the Nigerian logo on the wall seemed to glow brighter in the dim light. In Lagos, stories spread fast. They would tell it in different ways. The cleaner who turned stolen idea into empire, the girl who fired her former boss, the CEO who still visits markets to ask poor people what they really need. Some would exaggerate the spiritual parts, others would dismiss them. Some would say it was luck, Others would say grace plus grit. But if you asked Amara herself, she would laugh and say, I just stubborn small. Then she would add, like a quiet proverb. For this Lagos, humility be like mop, fit start with cleaning floor, but if your mind day open, now the same mop go show you where ceiling day leak. Person way bend down to learn today go fit stand up to lead tomorrow. And the city, always listening even when it pretends not to, would nod in agreement. Because in Lagos, the cleaner of today can truly become the boss of tomorrow, if she refuses to let betrayal finish her, if she lets small money teach her big lessons, and if she never forgets that the well belongs to the one who kept digging when others were busy stealing buckets.